Up until this point, it hasn't cost much gold to keep up in Wrath of the Lich King. With the exception of wildly overpriced rings and GDKPs and the occasional and immediately regretted Mimaron's head purchase, we've gotten off easy. Consumable costs are dirt cheap, professions have remained static, and there really haven't been many expensive items to buy. Except that all changes in Phase 4, where there are multiple big ticket items everybody's gonna want. There are also hot professions to switch to, and a raid actually hard enough to empty your bank account buying potions and feasts. We're going to count down the 10 most expensive things you need to save up gold for in Phase 4 so you don't miss out on a single thing. Number 10 is Frost Resistance gear. This is primarily for people working towards Shadowmourne. I know hunters deserve it, but you've got to sit this one out. Before you can collect the shards and actually craft this thing, you'll first have to get Shadow's Edge. Then while wielding the axe, you'll have to tank 4 of Sindragosa's Frost Breaths. To survive, you'll have to have either Frost Resist or really good cooldown usage. Relying on my paladin to press D-Sack at the right time is historically a bad decision, so it'd be really wise to grab some Frost Resist gear as well. The best gear for Frost Resist is the Icebane set with the boots, which are currently 500 gold. There's also the 500 gold chest and the 400 gold belt. If you can find a blacksmith though, the overall material cost for each of these items is less than 100 gold. The number 9 most expensive thing you need to save up gold for is profession swaps. So you've probably been running engineering or jewel crafting or tailoring throughout the expansion unless you love making gold gathering or mining. In ICC though, most of the top guilds will start running 5 leather workers because of drums of speed, which makes a really big difference in ICC. That means you'll have to drop a key profession like jewel crafting and level leatherworking to 340 at a minimum. This isn't a sponsor, but I started using the site professions.gg to check crafting costs. You can input your realm and it will pull the data to show you how much each level will cost and how much you can earn back. I don't want to stop at 340 just to use the drums of speed though. I also want to be able to use the fur-lined bracers at 400. When I put in my desired level on Fairlina, I was able to see that it would cost 1256 gold and I would earn back 328 just from vendoring the supplies. With auction house prices, I'd likely have gotten a lot more back from things like the leathers, so I'm really excited to see how accurate these numbers are when I level up leatherworking in the next few weeks. At number 8, we have Consumables. We all get it, consumes go up when the new raids release. Except that barely happened in TOC because the raid is only 30 minutes long and there's no trash for enhanced shamans to die on. That all changes with ICC though, which will be a 3 to 4 hour raid the first month for all but the top guilds. Every trash pack feels challenging and I've already run into multiple fights that feel more difficult than anything Ulduar threw at us. With 3-hour raid times, you could easily burn through 100 potions of speed per raid. Then you'd be also burning through something like 20 sappers, and of course the resident chef will be dropping a fish feast every 5 to 10 minutes. Your overall cost will be very class dependent though, since for example my healers just use cheap mana injectors. I'm also going to do my annual tradition of wasting gold on snowballs during progression, which will set me back even further. At number 7, we have Enchants and Gems. Short and simple, you need at least 2 sets of Enchants and Gems for every piece of armor. Gem prices may be dropping right now, but they'll skyrocket when the patch drops, so stockpiling at least 20 of the types you need is a really smart choice. I'm also stockpiling enchanting vellum since they'll shoot up when the patch hits. There's a reason we want 2 sets of enchants. You'll be able to very easily obtain the tier 10 251 item level gear with just emblems of frost. Then later on you'll be turning in that armor with a tier token for 264 gear, so every armor piece will end up being replaced. I also want to pre-buy a weapon enchant to save gold when I get a new upgrade. In my case, the mighty spell power for the Royal Scepter I'm sure I'll be getting week 1. Just as a quick tip, enchanting is extremely profitable right now. I use Auctionator to quickly make a list of which enchanting vellums are profitable. Then I can mass post one of each and undercut the competition to make quick sales. I've made over 15,000 gold doing this, and I've received a few angry DMs from the enchanting mafia about the undercuts, which feels amazing. This will depend on your class, but for me, stockpiling gems and enchants for 2 sets of gear will cost me 8750 for the gems and 1780 for the enchants. The number 6 expensive thing you need to save gold for in Phase 4 is the boost cost from rerolling. If you're feeling left out of the Shadowmourne drama, then you'll want to reroll a Fury or a Paladin or a DK. The fastest way to do that, of course, would be to buy a 70 boost from Blizzard and then AFK boost from 72 to 80. I've been boosting my warrior, and this is extremely expensive. Even with rested XP, I've spent 3,000 gold from 74 to 78. The cost of boosting will depend on whether you have rested XP, whether you have heirlooms, and whether the boosters on your server are fair with their prices. From people I've talked to, the boost from 72 to 80 will typically take about 10,000 gold. That being said, you could wait for Joyous Journeys in September or October to slash that price significantly. The price to subscribe has also been slashed significantly down to $0. This is the best time to do it before prices skyrocket up to $10 million per subscription. At number 5, we have Quel Delar. Quel Delar is the perfect 251 item level weapon for any character, whether you're main or a fresh alt. The quest line to get your own 251 weapon starts with the Battered Hill hilt. That item has a drop chance from any mob in Forge of Souls, Pit of Sauron, or Halls of Reflection. Wowhead will tell you the drop rate is 1%, but other data puts the number closer to a 0.8% drop rate. Even if the hilt drops, it's safe to say that winning the role will be very difficult since DPS, healers, and even tanks will want to complete the questline. This is the best pre-raid weapon in the game, so early hilts will go for over 20,000 gold each. After the first few weeks, you can expect the price to drop below 10,000 gold, but it'll still be expensive. At number 4, we have ICC BOEs. If you remember the Sunwell trash farming from last year, this is going to feel like deja vu. There's this ring you get from the Ashen Verdict reputation at friendly, and it starts at 251 item level. By Exalted, it's all the way up to 277 item level, which means everybody will be rushing to get rep maxed out in trash farms as fast as possible. While all that rep farming is going on, the raid leaders will typically be reserving the BOEs for themselves to sell in the auction house for 25,000 gold each, depending on the item. If you really want to perform an ICC progression the first few weeks, you'll definitely want enough gold to buy a BOE early on, like the Ikfira's Sack of Wonder. At number 3, we have the items from the Shadowmourne Quest. If you're lucky enough to get a Shadowmourne, you'll also get a bonus quest, which gives you 5 additional bind and equip items. These items are things like the Crimson Death Charger mount and an item that transforms you into a Frost Dwarf. Most guilds will roll out these bonus items since the whole guild put in hard work to get the Shadowmourne created, and they deserve to be rewarded. A few of these items will make their way onto the auction house where they'll fetch insanely high prices. I personally have my eye on buying the Tabard of the Light once it drops below 10,000 gold since it has a blindingly over-the-top lighting effect. The number 2 item you'll want to save your gold up for is Invincible. Invincible is the mount everybody's been waiting for in Wrath of the Lich King. Similar to Mimeron's Head, it'll have a 100% drop chance from the Lich King. Then the drop chance will plummet in the Cataclysm expansion. Mimeron's Head itself was typically selling for over 200,000 gold in GDKPs. I would be shocked if the price of Invincible doesn't double or triple. The number 1 most expensive item you need to be saving your gold up for is Shadowmourne. Shadowmourne is going to be incredibly expensive whether you're in a guild run or a GDKP. To explain how expensive Shadowmourne is going to be, we first have to talk about Primordial Serenite. You need 25 Primordial Serenite at the beginning of the Shadowmourne questline. The only way to generate Primordial Serenite is from the 25-man raids or the 10-man heroic raids. Old data puts the drop rate of Primordial Serenite at 20%, though this should definitely be taken with a grain of salt since the code's been changed over time. Assuming between 20 and 40% though, 300 guilds will generate around 1,000 Primordial Serenite from 25-mans. They'll also be generating 2,500 from 10-mans. Then you have 99 Emblems of Frost you can generate each week if Blizzard adds in a new daily heroic quest. That would also assume they skip RDF at launch, which is definitely a possibility. One member of each of the 300 guilds will want to get their 25 Primordial Serenite week 1. Then there's also the crafted gear. If 20% of the raiding population crafts their legs and boots, that's another 30,000 Serenite the first week. So basically, the demand of Primordial Serenite will outstrip the supply even if the drop rate in raids is much higher than expected. It will likely cost at least 200,000 gold the first week just to obtain the 25 Serenite. After that point, if you're in a guild, your cost will basically be 0. But for those in GDKPs, the price will be at least 8,000 gold per shard for another 400,000 gold. That puts the cost of Shadowmourne in a typical GDKP at a whopping 600,000 gold. If saving up 600,000 gold seems like a lot of gold to you, you'll definitely want to learn about which professions can make you a lot of profit in this phase and phase 4 as well. Check out my most profitable professions video next.